today we would not even think of murdering someone for. Yeah, maybe you're right, but maybe you're wrong. I don't know. I really don't know, so maybe I'll just drop that point. Also, your point on sacrifice. Jesus did not become God, Messiah, or ruler of the universe because he died according to the Christian belief. There was no deal that you allude to. He was all that from birth according to the religion, so it's not as if he was trading his life for power. That's not really the point I was making with that. I never said that it was a deal or anything like that. My point was he wasn't making a sacrifice. It's not a sacrifice if you kill yourself and then you're reborn again, or you're resurrected. There is no sacrifice. It's a sacrifice if you die and you never come back. That's a sacrifice. For me, like, to do that, if I was God, to do something like that would be a small thing. It's not a sacrifice. I'm not grateful for him if he actually did exist and do that. I'm not impressed by that. I would be more impressed if a human being did that and had to give his life to save other people. And people have done that in the past, and I think they deserve a lot more gratitude than this Jesus guy ever deserved, even if he did exist. Even if he was the Son of God, because that's not a sacrifice. That was the point I was making. And, just hypothetically speaking, if there was a deal for me that I had to die for everybody's sins and I became ruler of the universe, I would do it. That was the only thing I was saying. Let's see. Let's put this over here. Now, as for evidence of Christ's rebirth, interestingly enough, there is some evidence. Jesus' body was wrapped in a cloth when he was buried. That is now called the Shroud of Turin, which was then taken out of the tomb and is now a holy relic. Naturally, the shroud has blood stains from Jesus' body, but what's really fascinating is that it bears an image of a man, a face. The fibers have these markings, which make an image of Christ. This is an image. Okay, then she links me to an image of it. I just wanted you to see the scan first so you'll notice the face in the second image since it's smaller. Anyway, it's unclear what made this image appear on the cloth. Many have dismissed that it's paint or some similar material. However, recently a team of scientists ran a series of tests on the fiber and determined that it's not paint. This stuff is all in the documentary, like their whole process and the scientific reasons for why it's not paint. I don't remember all of it too well to reiterate, but basically the markings, this is actually, really silly stuff. I don't, this is probably the worst argument she has so far. I don't want to tear her down, but this is actually a really bad argument for his rebirth. It doesn't matter if there was a face on this cloth. Okay, he was wrapped in a cloth when he was buried, and it has blood stains from his body. Okay, if it has blood stains from his body, wouldn't it make more sense to do a DNA analysis of that? Furthermore, it doesn't even matter if it makes an image of his face. Who cares? It doesn't mean that he was resurrected. What does that prove? You have to prove that he was resurrected. I don't even know how you prove that. I mean, even if the body's missing, that doesn't prove that he was resurrected. It just means somebody stole his body. That's a more logical explanation. I mean, this is just a really bad argument. Yeah, okay, so even if there was an image of his face, what does it matter? If it has an image of my face, would you think I'm the reborn god or some shit? That would be awesome. If it had a hood and a beard guy on his fucking cloth. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, finally onto why I'm a Catholic and not a Hindu or something else. I actually have a very unconventional view of different religions. I don't think any religion is wrong. I think they all reveal truths and have knowledge of a higher being or beings. I sort of see different religions as different languages. They're all right. They all convey a message and have validity, they just do it in different ways. So I was raised a Catholic. I understand Catholicism the best out of any other religion. Okay, so she understands it the best. She's not saying it is the best, because I was raised with it. It's the best way I can understand this being that is God to me. Wait a minute. It's the best way I can understand this being that is God to... That doesn't make sense. Okay, she's saying that This is the best way she can understand God, I guess. But different cultures and people see the world differently and will be able to comprehend this being more easily in different ways. So he, she, it reveals him, she, her, itself differently to different people. For us, it's God, Jesus, Mary, Joseph, the Holy Spirit, but it's different for other people who wouldn't respond to this the way I do. I stick to Catholicism because I can understand it the best, like English, but that doesn't make Hinduism wrong. This is not a Catholic belief at all, but this is how I feel, and it's my own. Still, this isn't some complete bullshit from my own head. Other writers, philosophers, perceive different religions like this too. For example, there was a German playwright, Gottholm, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing his name, who wrote a play we read in my honors class called Nathan the Wise, set in Jerusalem, and at one point in the play, the Jewish protagonist Nathan was called before the Sultan and asked which religion is true, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. They're trying to trick Nathan into saying Judaism so they'll make him pay a fine that will get rid of their debts. However, Nathan responds with a metaphor that's basically like there was a father who had 3 sons who he loved equally. The father had this ring and with magical ability that was like a family heirloom. The ring had the ability to make the owner pleasant to God and mankind. When it came time for the father to die, he could not decide which son to pass the ring on to because he loved them all the same. So he had 3 replicas of the ring made and gave them to each son, who in turn believed that he had the true ring. This metaphor is what Lessing thought of religion, and it's what I think of it too. In the metaphor, the father had the real ring, and the songs only had replicas of it. That's what I think of religion. This being kept wisdom to himself, and all valid religions have parts of it. One's not greater than the other or truer than another, but as I said, I understand Catholicism the best, so that's what I practice, but I'm fascinated with other religions too. After working at the museum, I find Judaism particularly interesting, but my friends come from diverse faith backgrounds. I think there's incredible parts to all of their religions. Also, this belief of mine was sort of strengthened for me after I saw this exhibit, and then she talks about an exhibit from Eastern Christianity and Tibetan Buddhism. It was absolutely incredible how similar the symbols and representations of these 2 very distinct religions were. There was even one Buddhist relic that used the Star of David symbol, but in Buddhism, it was a representation of harmony of the male and female. The repetition of images and depictions of the holy in these 2 cultures and religions that really did not interact much just really made me feel that there is this universal truth that we all try to embody and understand in our own way. Really, no religion has it right, but we all have parts of it right. And in that sense, none can be wrong or fully right. I know this is complicated and not part of mainstream religion, but that's just how I look at it. Alright, what you're saying is very flowery, if that's a word, and nice, but that's not what your religion teaches. Even I can say that with a great deal of confidence that that's not. I'm pretty sure that's not what it says in your Bible. Look, I mean, Hinduism does not believe in one God. It believes in a lot of gods, and the fact of the matter is, let's say I make up a religion right now, and the god's name is Plotoplax, and I'm just making it up right now. I can just make up stuff right now. And you could, according to your rationale, just say that it's another way of looking at the same god, but it's not. I mean, like, if everything's just so ambiguous and nonsensical like that, then none of them actually mean anything. None of them, like, everything they say means that it shouldn't be interpreted literally. It should all be a metaphor of something else, in which case I'm wondering what the hell is the point in saying it in the first place? If you don't mean it literally, then why say it at all? It's like everything means something else. And I really think all you're doing is rationalizing multiple religions, and you're trying to rationalize it so it fits within your worldview. Honestly, that's what you're doing. To make your outlook on life be as open-minded as possible while still being Catholic. In the end, that's exactly what you're doing. There's no reason why you should be a Catholic and then not be a Hindu. You're just rationalizing why you're a Catholic by saying that all religions are the same and this is just the only one I understand. No, that's a rationalization. They all believe in different things. There's no question about that. They're not all right. It's impossible for them all to be right, but it is possible for them all to be wrong. And that's what I think. I think they're all wrong. They all have no evidence supporting them. And I think, this is my opinion, that they just made it up. Just like I made up Kulturpläx or whatever the fuck I said before. And you could, according to what you just said, say that it's true. Because it's all inclusive. You're just rationalizing your bias. As for the Buddhism thing, actually, I heard, I'm not entirely sure, I'm not an expert on this, but even in Buddhism, they say that Siddhartha, the Buddha, the Supreme Buddha, was born to a virgin. That's what I heard, and this story predates Christianity, and what it was is that the story was spread to other regions, and these other countries were simply just influenced by these stories, and they just incorporated them into their own religion. That's what's going on here, you know? I mean, it's nothing more than that. You're influenced by other things all the time, and then you incorporate them into your own work. It has nothing to do with everybody having this sudden revelation. Wow, I just have the Star of David just appeared in my head. I'm going to incorporate it into my art. And, oh, wow, it's now in another country too, so it must be correct. No, it's just stories are being spread. I mean, like dragon art, for example. Does that mean that dragons exist? I mean, you have dragons in the East, you have dragons in the West that have been depicted in art. Does that mean they actually exist? No, it just means that either they kind of, the artwork just spread somehow, or it was an example of just similar ideas occurring in two different regions, and it was just a coincidence. It doesn't really strike me as anything remarkable or amazing. You know, I would consider a man flying through the sky with angel wings amazing, but I've never seen that. Why is everything always got to be like this kind of minor, petty thing, like, oh, the Star of David? You know, there's a similar looking star in Buddhism. You know, it's like, big deal. Who cares? I want to see something more amazing than that. A God that can do anything is more than capable of revealing himself in a more elaborate, convincing way, rather than all these little subtle things which are kind of stupid and pointless. Any God that actually cared about us knowing about him would have full knowledge about how we analyze and interpret evidence, and knowing what would actually be good evidence. And what you told me in this is not good evidence at all. It's really bad evidence, in fact. But I applaud you for being open-minded about other religions, and that's very good of you to do. I think what you're doing, though, is rationalizing your personal beliefs so that you're still open-minded while being biased towards Catholicism. I think that's just what you're doing here. That's all you're doing. Anyway, thank you for responding in this very educated way. This is what I wanted in the first place, instead of, you just bashing me to death, which is okay because I am a jerk sometimes, and that's alright. I piss people off all the time, but that's what Enigmahood is all about. Anyway, I hope this was informative, and everyone tell me what you think about this in the comment section. This is Enigmahood signing off.